Now, March is an interesting month at the box office. This is because March has produced certain films such as The Hunger Games that are worldwide successes, and at the same time, some films that haven't done so well. The first success, I believe, was released on March 7th, 2014. That is 300, Rise of an Empire. It opened to $45 million in the opening weekend, which is significantly less than the original $370 million. Nonetheless, the film already has $315 million worldwide. Foreign territories, it'll perform better than the original 300, but overall, I think it'll close out at a little over 350 or $360 million. On the same weekend, we had Mr. Peabody and Sherman, which opened to 32 million, just under 300 Rise of an Empire, and in the later weekends it performed even better than 300 Rise of an Empire. I think that there was a lot of positive word of mouth with regards to the film, but if you look at the production budget for this film, it's $145 million, perhaps one of the most expensive animated films of all time. Nonetheless, it's raked in about 218 million worldwide. It could close out at a little over 250, but I still believe that it might not be the entire amount that the studio was hoping for. On the same weekend, we had first in limited release in 4 theaters, the Grand Budapest Hotel, which grossed $800,000 in its opening weekend, an average of $200,000 in each of the 4 theaters. And then it was expanded, of course. The positive word of mouth, the fan following that Wes Anderson has really made this film gross a whole lot of money. It's been a little under 4 weeks, and it's already made $70 million, which is more, in fact, than Moonrise Kingdom made throughout its 5-month run. On the 14th of March, we had Need for Speed, a production budget of $66 million. It's made $168 million worldwide, and it opened to number 3, unfortunately, with $17 million. In the domestic territory, that is US, it's made $38 million. Certainly not what the studio was hoping for, especially considering the fact that they spent a lot on marketing, but in foreign territories it's done significantly well, making $130 million. So, on the whole, from the larger perspective, you could still see a Need for Speed sequel. The other film that was released on March 14th is significantly different from the other films. This is because while the production budget of $6 million exists, it was picked up from Kickstarter, so really the studio incurred no charges at all. Veronica Mars has made $3 million so far, opening at number 11, perhaps just for the fans of the TV show. But really, even though it's made less than its budget, I consider it a success because the studio really incurred no charge at all, considering they went to Kickstarter.com and got the fans themselves to fund the film. Another big success was on the 21st of March, where you have Divergent, a production budget of $85 million. It's already made $105 million worldwide, 97 of which is from the US alone. And while I don't think it'll perform so well in foreign territories, the US is a strong market for this film. It's definitely going to probably reach $200 million worldwide, probably $150 million domestically, considering that it had an opening weekend about $1 million short of Gravity, which is still a mammoth at the box office and has grossed over $700 million worldwide, over $200 in the US. I think that Divergent has a great future. There will be a sequel, considering it's already past the break-even point in less than 2 weeks, and it has a long, long way to go. Unfortunately, though, one of the relative disappointments to the original film is The Muppets Most Wanted. The original Muppets film opened to $29 million and grossed $165 million worldwide. This film opened only to $17 million, which is unfortunate, and it's only made $42 million worldwide so far. It does have a long way to go, but it hasn't even got its budget back yet, and it's made only $7 million in foreign territories. I just think that, one, the marketing and the excitement behind the Muppets film was not so much, but the thing that the original Muppets film rode on was positive, absolutely positive word of mouth that I do not believe Muppets Most Wanted really possesses. On the 28th of March, we had 2 films. The success, which is Noah, a production budget of $125 million, will be made up very soon, because in under a week it's already made over 100 million worldwide. It opened to 43 million, which I consider a strong amount. I believe that the word of mouth, though, is a little tricky because there's some positive, some negative. Personally, I love the film, but really, I think it will end up crossing 200 million worldwide. Though they did spend a lot on marketing, it might not be as much as the studio might hope for, but certainly, considering 300, Rise of an Empire opened to 45 million, and this opened to 43 million, and 300's made over 300 million worldwide, Noah's got a long way to go. And finally, on the 28th of March, this is a little bit of a disappointment. Sabotage. The thing is, films like The Last Stand and Bullet to the Head, you know, with your classic action stars such as Schwarzenegger and Stallone, they should be doing well. They really should, but the issue is they're not ever marketed that well. This film does not have good reviews by any means, and really, that's where the problem lies. A lot of people look back at the older 1980s films and they wonder how those made so much money and these aren't. I think one question is about quality and the second question is about marketing. I do not believe that Schwarzenegger and Stallone are washed up, as some people say. I think they are still fantastic actors. I saw them in Escape Plan. I loved that film. And they have a lot in them. They have the desire to undertake these kind of films. And I believe that these films should be doing better. It's made only $6 million so far. And I'm sure its budget was far, far more than that. It's unfortunate. Nonetheless, though, March as a whole has had some very surprisingly large films in terms of the box office gross, and I'm really curious now to when we're entering the second quarter of the year, you're going to have much larger films leading into summer.